One, our ancestors absolutely got probiotics. They did. They got it from organ meat, from the animals they killed and they ate their organs, delivered a lot of probiotics into their system. Fact two, they got it from their environment. So our ancestors weren't sanitizing things all the time. When they were eating things, their hands were covered in dirt and soil, and they'd been touching bark and trees and leaves and rocks, and that bacteria going into the system, believe it or not, actually delivered live organisms that survived through the digestive system and colonized in the intestinal system to provide benefits, which is the qualifying markers for a probiotic. They weren't getting them out of a bottle like this, but they just didn't sanitize everything on a regular basis, and they ate a lot of organ meats, okay? So number two, did our ancestors use technology for gut health? Yeah, they did. They fermented foods on a regular basis. They did. So sauerkraut, kimchi, they fermented vegetables of a variety of types. They fermented dairy products, bread products, meat products. They fermented fish. They fermented sausage. They absolutely fermented foods. And by fermenting foods, what they were doing is it was helping preserve the food for long-term use, would be one. Number two, it made the food safe. And three, it made it so it was digestive friendly, meaning fermentable foods for most people, it's like pre-chewed food, and it gets through the intestinal, when it gets into the colon, it's typically fairly friendly for digestion, which was super helpful for them. So that made them really happy, right? By the way, my name is Phil. I'm with Silver Fern Brand. We are a gut health company. I get in a lot of trouble when I am doing these videos because I always say, guess what? While fermentable foods are really good, they are not probiotics. And I know that a lot of people that nerd out on this stuff are going to reference the 2021 Stanford research study on fermented foods, which is 3 to 6 servings of fermentable food on a daily basis, improved the microbial diversity, reduced inflammation, and helped immune system function. All true. That being said, not a probiotic. Very good fuel, prebiotic, fermentable, soluble, basically fuel for the microbiome. Very good, but it's not a probiotic. It doesn't say anywhere in those research studies that the fermentable foods act as a probiotic. In fact, they can start with live organisms. So does it start with live organisms? Yes. Do the majority of those live organisms survive the digestive process? Acid, stomach acid, bile salts, all that, they don't survive. Really good? Yes. Probiotics, no, okay? So, but that being said, our ancestors got an enormous benefit from those fermentable foods because it was fueling the colon. Today, we just don't get that. We're not getting slow fermentable foods that are getting into the colon, that are fermenting very slowly. We're not getting adequate amounts of that. That's a fact. In fact, up to about 95% of Americans don't even get enough fiber, let alone prebiotic fiber that's fueling the microbiome. And then a lot of people can't take it because it's uncomfortable. And then the last thing is it's going to make them, a lot of people, it's bloating, histamine intolerances and stuff like that. So they just don't get enough of it, right? All right, so because of that, once again, fueling the microbiome is just as important, maybe even more important than throwing seeds in to reseed the microbiome on standard lactobacillus bifidobacterium probiotics. It just is. So because people in many instances aren't getting 3 to 6 servings of fermentable foods on a daily basis, and they're not getting a good fuel source for the microbiome, they need something like Ultimate Fiber. So Ultimate Fiber is an amazing prebiotic, slow fermentable, soluble fiber source. So let's just start with the basics. 1, it is a fermentable soluble fiber. 2, it makes it directly to the colon, which is where you really want to be building your microbiome. You don't want that in the small intestine. 3, it fuels gut bacteria to support digestion, the metabolism, and appetite control. One of the primary reasons people take prebiotic fiber is because they are trying to fuel the metabolism and help metabolic health, right? Right. All right, so let's start with the basics. So Ultimate Fiber, 15 grams of highly tolerable, low-FODMAP fiber in one serving. And because it's very highly tolerable, and because most people need more than 15 grams, you can fill the gap with it. So let's say you're eating really, really good food. Most people that are eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and nuts and stuff like that, they're getting, unfortunately, they're still only getting like about 15 grams or less of fiber on a daily basis. If you're just in general, women are supposed to get 25 grams of fiber daily. Men are supposed to get roughly 35, 38 grams of fiber. If you look at the protein to fiber ratio, which is how to maximize a high protein diet for long-term metabolic health, you're looking at 1 gram of fiber for every 3 to 4 grams of protein. That's the research. You can go research it on your own. You don't have to trust the bald, gray-haired, beard dude on social media. You can just go research it. Type in the protein to fiber ratio, pull up the study, read the study. It's going to say 1 gram of fiber for every 3 to 4 grams of protein. That's what it says. Now, if by pairing the right type of prebiotic, tolerable prebiotic fiber, fuel for the microbiome, you're helping with appetite, fat burning, you're helping with insulin sensitivity. A lot of people are on the insulin resistance research craze right now because it has such an important impact on losing weight and fat and visceral fat specifically. Well, by adding, so this alone, right? So let's just take me. I'm a 250 pound, I'm 6'3", I'm 250 pounds. For me to maintain, and this year I'm in a calorie deficit, okay? So if you look at what's coming out of the universities right now, the formula for weight loss is protein plus adequate fiber plus calorie reduction equals long-term weight loss. It's not protein plus calorie reduction equals optimal weight loss. You actually need fiber for the optimal weight loss, okay? So we're talking optimal. If you just want to do straight protein, God bless. I'm just going off of research and what I'm doing, okay? So, if you're wanting to do this, for me, I'm going to be eating 170 to 190 grams of protein to still be in a calorie deficit, but try and maintain muscle. I'm 50, so just to give you age. Based upon that, I would need roughly 45 to 55 grams of fiber daily. I get roughly 10 grams of fiber from my diet right now, and so I would need to supplement that with roughly 3 scoops of this on a daily basis because there's 15 grams per serving of this. So I would take 1 serving in the morning, and then I'd take 2 at night. Why would I take it at night? Well, because that's when I have the most munchies. I munch the most, okay? So that's what I will be doing. When you're thinking of cost, be mindful. For me, I'm just looking at it straight across the board. For me, roughly 3 grams of this type of, or 3 servings of this is roughly $3.13 a day, which is a little bit more, probably 50, 60 cents more than a protein bar. It's a little bit more than 2 scoops of protein powder. It's about roughly to a pound of ground beef. It would be like if I had 6 to 9 eggs. So the pricing's pretty comparable, and all you're doing is you're trying to maximize your protein to fiber ratio for long-term satiety, insulin sensitivity, and health from that. Now, does this also help with constipation and diarrhea and boosting all the significant bacteria types that you should be shooting for? Bifidobacterium, Akkermansia, Klebsiella, F. prausnitzii. Is it boosting your really good short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, propionate, acetate? Yes, 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 and yes. So really good source of prebiotic fiber. My wife doesn't need 3 scoops. So if you're looking at me going, holy shit, he's having 3 scoops a day. I'm also a 250 pound man, right? So my wife who's getting 80 to 90 grams of protein every day, she doesn't need that much fiber. She's probably maybe 1 to 2 scoops. That's it, okay? So in her case, much more affordable. She doesn't need as much food. So that's what you get with Ultimate Fiber. Does not spike glucose, does not spike insulin. It's effectively zero net carbs. And it's not going to take you out of ketosis. So for all of you that are on the carnivore diet, keto diet, high protein, low carb diet, you're like, I don't want to spike my insulin and glucose. You're welcome. And by the way, no other ingredients. 0 other ingredients. No sugars, artificial, anything, gluten-free, soy-free, dairy-free. It's just clean, and the ingredients are all non-GMO. And if you scroll down the page on the product, you can click the specific links for each ingredient to see where we got them, to see, that you can verify they're non-GMO. You can go to the suppliers and see them, and you can see it helps with cholesterol, insulin, all that very, very specifically in each of the pages. So great source of prebiotic fiber for those of you that aren't getting enough fermentable foods or getting enough fiber on a daily basis. You're welcome. Bye.